So, good morning once again, and welcome to yet another drawing stream on a not quite pitch black Central European morning. Summer is coming. It's already sort of bluish outside. This time we're going to be drawing some hooved animals, so mostly horses. After that, finishing the project, and after that, taking a look at some uh, ways to avoid same face when you are drawing imaginary characters or making your own character designs. And to play for time for a little bit until we are actually, now we are at 8 a.m. and let's go with the horses. Horses are another kind of animal that I am not particularly friends with. I have ridden a horse a couple of times. Wasn't that much fun. Might have been a problem with the personality of the horse as well, of course, since horses are not actually particularly strong as compared to the size of modern humans. They You have to get a large, particularly large horse if you want to ride as a medium-sized or larger man, and might have just been that some of those are particularly assholish. And in any case, I was on a riding holiday that was advertised as being suitable for beginners. Turns out it wasn't. This is a doe or a child, actually a child deer, I think. I don't know what those are called. So I think I got a particularly assholish horse, and then I was supposed to control it as an absolute beginner, which of course was not something that particularly occurred. This one's throwing his hair around. Do they have ears like this that looks like a flap? Well, maybe they do. It has something that looks like a flap there. This is a zebra. So as long as we are not actually coloring anything in, basically identical with a horse. I guess there's a sort of a sweet spot to gesture drawing animals, where the pet animals have been the most fun to draw. The humans and simians have been the most difficult to draw. And I am finding that the horses are perhaps somewhere in the middle. I feel like I am not. I feel like I'm having a harder time drawing the horses than I did with the pet animals or reptiles. It might be that I am more familiar with horses. It might be that I am less familiar with horses. Uh, it might be that, you know, because of the cultural impact of horses, that we as humans are more used to seeing them. So again, doing a poor job at it is more immediately identifiable, perhaps, than it is for many other animals. This is a deer, large, large antlers. When it looks like a tree branch, it's an antler. Only the large hollow ones are called horns in English. sort of a beard going on here. I thought this was a boar for a moment, but it's a foal, I think, a baby horse, and it's scratching its own face with its hoof. Perhaps not an activity you would expect from a horse. Apparently, that is something that they are, in fact, capable of doing. And the final 30-second one, doing sort of a dramatic pose, jumping up, facing slightly away from the camera. A lot of hair going on with this with the tail here. There is a barely visible part of the other leg behind here. So then the 1 minute sketches. There's another foal. This time he's grooming himself, I think more like a cat. Seems to be licking at his upper arm or upper hind leg, if you prefer. There's the tail curled up. I have the impression that horse tails are mostly, if not exclusively, made of hair and don't actually have a any bone or meat inside them, but I'm not familiar with horses. But if that were the case, then the way that this thing is working its tail is a bit weird. You wouldn't expect that from an animal that did not have anything inside the tail to control it with. Some kind of a deer facing away on its shoulder line here. Got the knee line here. There's some white going on. I can't tell which of this white is the tail and which is just, some color pattern on the animal. This is actually the ankle of the animal. It's always something to remember when drawing animals and drawing on your instinctive understanding of anatomy or your understanding of human anatomy, that the knee is here, this is the ankle, and the toes are here. So this is the midfoot of the animal. And this is some sort of a goat. Standing dramatically on rocks. And he has got some quite large horns. Something like this. They are relatively broad down here, and of course they get thinner as you go up. I think a donkey, a small horse-like animal. It's got large ears pointed backwards. I think that's a clear sign that it's a donkey. More rounded face than a horse does. So, can't see enough of the mouth. It's got this. It's got something on a bit. I think that it would be pulled back by. And then a goat. I think this is a baby goat. It's doing like almost of a cat pose here. Licking at itself. You can see its shoulder blade. It is protruding. And then you can see something protruding here. Although I have to wonder what that is. Is it the shoulder muscle? Probably. More or less a straight shot down from there. Like this. And of course there's a bit of a hanging belly, but I'm going to start on the leg first. And that was all the time that I had. Then 5 minutes. This is a running horse. Doing something like this. Seems like it's got sort of a sway back here. Like a saddle, which I guess would make perfect sense for a horse. It's thinner around here, but thicker around here. So that explains the curve to its belly. It's got some lines here. And then it's got the actual leg back here. Again, the knee is going to be this one. Then it has to be turning back somehow. I can't really tell with the perspective here, but the leg has to be turning back. So I'm going to make it a bit thinner in that direction. No, this is completely wrong. It's something like this. And then the hoof is again turned backwards. So then on the front side, he's going to have his shoulder area, something like this. Probably should start here, but I can't really tell any structure in there. And I think his breast muscle is this one, although it looks kind of weird. There's really a curve from above the breast muscle and down into the elbow. A similar curve on this side, and then a double curve into the back muscles. His belly curves back up quite a lot. And then his other leg is almost entirely visible. The breast muscle is again very prominent. That's what I think it is. And at this point, it's going to merge into his neck. This one is turned up quite a lot. Not quite that high. There's some muscle definition on there. And after that, it turns back extremely dramatically. So that it is there's only barely anything visible here. There's the other leg, is visually surprisingly forward here. And it is also almost touching the ground. Then he's probably got his neck down there, but it's obscured by his hair. And then he has his head. I think the face gets a little thinner when you move forwards, but then it also has a relatively curved side to it. So that was 5 minutes. This is another goat, a very small goat. It's really looking up at the camera. This is an extremely dramatic angle. Don't really know how to start with this with only a few minutes time to go. I guess I'm going to start drawing in the shape as sort of more for negative space than actually trying to think about it. That Billy Goat goatee. I don't know if all goats have this sort of goat's beard to them, or is it just the male ones? I don't think goats have that much sexual dimorphism to them. Maybe in the horns. Other than that, I'm not convinced that I could tell a male goat from a female goat in any way. So, the front of the body, the back of the body, only his front legs are visible, and those aren't particularly visible in any case. Bit of a neck here. I guess some separation in the muscles down here. And there's a knee and something going on. And then at this point I'm going to have to actually start thinking about his geometry. There's the face, nose, has to have some sort of how am I going to draw this? Of course the nostrils are turned up, but the holes of the nostrils are more or less in line. So I think drawing something like this and then connecting it something like this might be the best idea. So this part is extremely dark. This part here is the inside of the nostril. So it's relatively pink. There's a bit of a separation here. Then he's got slightly curved lips. You can tell that his one edge of his snout, the other one not really at all, since it's burnt out. It's all white. Has to be something like this. But what does a goat's? I can't see how his forehead is developing. So is it like this? Is it like this? I don't know. I can see is that he has these brow ridges again, where his eye is coming in from the inside. There is going to be some form to it. On the other side, I can't tell at all because of the lighting. So he has his eyelid like this. He's got those square pupils as goats often do. I'm not quite sure if that's unique to goats or maybe sheep, and musk oxes might have that as well. That is not correct. He is going to have it more like, no, the other side is not really visible. That's going to be the side of the eyeball. And he's got some bit of a cheekbone here. Probably something like that on this side as well, but I can't tell. The wider part to his face, and then his jawbone, which visually at least connects to the goatee here. So that was 5 minutes. And the last 10-minute pose is some sort of a horse animal that is screaming at the camera. Really looking at the camera, so I'm going to really have to start looking in some volume to have any chance of getting him drawn in, and I think that's not going to be enough either. It's more like something like this, fairly dramatic. He's got his shoulder blades somewhere around here. I'm going to check down the opacity on the construction lines when I still remember. And he's got his breast muscle here. It goes out here and then turns up. And then the other side is turned up since he's stepping forward with that side. After that, it is going to be obscured by the face. The face is about like this. He's got some forehead going on. And then he has his, screaming face. Coming up something like this. And then he needs to have some structure to his snout. And then he's going to have a hole here. So the lower part hinges somewhere back here. So I'm going to draw some lines up here. Where his mouth actually opens is relatively high, low down the face. And where it actually hinges is has to be a lot higher up. He ends up having his tongue kind of rounded in here. Then he's got some lip, but other than that, there's very little of his face identifiable. Very large nostrils. I think he's deliberately flaring them. Might be a part of the horse scream. Actually, it might be a part of the human scream as well. I haven't really paid that much attention to the nostrils on a screaming human. But now that I think of it, I think there might be some of that as well. And then, of course, we have the brow ridges. Then getting back to the real lines, there's his belly line. Comes in here. And then his back appears behind here. Is a bit broader, but then also turns down very sharply. I think the belly line has to be a bit further down here. And then he's going to have his legs down here, his leg down here. This is pointing down, this is pointing forward. Kind of like this. The third leg back here, that's not visible at all. So I am just going to draw this. It's relatively straight down. That one is not that exaggerated. It's more like this. And the same with this. It's not actually that dramatic. It's making that movement, but in a much more understated way. So what does he have here? The hair tuft on the foreleg here almost carries on the shoulder line here, and it is going almost perfectly down until his knee, and his knee is going to be somewhere around here. He's got his bulging knee here and a bit of structure. So at this same level, the knee on the other side is going to be a little bit further down. That seems fine. On the other side, it's going to be much higher up, somewhere around here. So on this side, we have some bulging going on, but not a lot of it. And then there's the knee. And on the inside, it's a bit thicker. There's probably a bit of the, side plane of the legs visible here, but most of it is going to be the forward plane. Then the ankle on this side is just below the knee on the middle leg, so I'm going to draw that in. No, the wrist, actually. No. This is the knee. So this is the knee, this is the ankle, this is the finger joint. So it's really the fingertips that the horse is walking on. So on the other side, we have the elbow here. Not the shoulder. We have the shoulder blade up here. And it needs to have its shoulder somewhere up here. Oh, anyway, no use stopping to think about horse anatomy while I'm supposed to be quickly drawing some horses. The ankle, well, let's say the last joint on this side is at the same, is slightly below the hooves on the other side. And then, of course, the actual hooves are going to be even lower down below. And on the other side, we are going to have the hooves even further below. Again, the last joint is relatively in line. There's some folding going on here. And then some fur coming in from behind the fold. Something like this, and then there is the hoof, actual hoof down there. So 2 minutes to go. I'm going to start, so to say, inking the face of this horse. There is a line visible here. There is also some amount of meat visible on the outside here. Then we get to the nostril that is flared. I'm going to use this overhang. No, it's going to be wrong. I'm going to have to sort of overdraw the overhang to get the nostril. And his face gets narrower into the lip. He's got sort of a, I don't know if this is coloring or some structure on the front of his nose. And then he's got his other nostril flared as well, and it's going to have a bit of an outline as well. So at this point, something like this. And he has got a line here that actually goes all the way down. And then turns out relatively aggressively after the tip of the upper lip. It's more like this. So of course his lower lip keeps on going. That looks really weird to me. I don't think a horse head should look like this, but that is what I am seeing, so that is what I am drawing. He's got his tongue twisted up around here. That was 10 minutes. Not necessarily the worst horse I have ever drawn, but also not a massive success. So then let's switch up the recordings. This is the end of the gesture drawing.